$127,000 in back HOA fees for a house I inherited yesterday. Pay up or we torch it for insurance fraud. You think I'm making that up? I wish I was. Tuesday morning, 6:47 a.m. I'm standing on my grandfather's dock, and Celeste Ravencraftoft is there in this blinding fuchsia suit, pointing past me at the $2.3 million lakefront mansion my family built, acting like she already owns the place. And the air reeked of gasoline like a warning just waiting for a spark. That's how my day started. Yeah, that happened. Ma'am, there's got to be some mistake, I told her, but her voice cut right through me. Icy professional dripping with that I run the show energy. No mistake, Mr. Whitfield. Your family owes Pinterest Homeowners Association $127,000. You inherit debt with property. She handed me these documents with my grandfather's signature. Thing is, I knew Theodore Whitfield's handwriting like I know my own heartbeat, and this was a bad copy. Here's the real kicker. My grandfather was the guy who saved this whole community during the dam disaster of '87. Pulled 43 families out of their beds before a wall of water wiped everything off the map. Local legend, right? But that morning, Celeste was talking to me like I was just another deadbeat. She didn't realize in 6 hours I'd be the one deciding her fate from behind a federal bench. Let me back up a sec, because this story, it isn't just about threats or gas cans. It started with a phone call that flipped everything. I thought I understood about Justice Family and what happens when you put the wrong people in power. 2 weeks earlier, I was Judge Garrison Whitfield, Federal Appeals Court, 7th Circuit. Not everyone knows what that means. So here it is: when the lower courts get it wrong, I fix it. When the law gets twisted up by local politics, I straighten it out. If someone thinks a badge or a title puts them above the law, they end up in my courtroom learning that no one's untouchable. I'd been on the bench 8 years, appointed after a career taking down corrupt politicians, dirty cops, all the usual suspects. I learned my methodical approach from my grandfather Theodore, who was my hero before I even knew what a hero was. He spent 40 years building water management systems across Wisconsin, the kind of guy who measured twice, cut once, and didn't take shortcuts. When the Pinterest Dam started showing cracks in '86, he begged for repairs. City council, county folks, even the state, nobody listened. Why fix a dam when elections are coming up and repairs cost money? Then March 15th, '87 happened. Record snow melt, spring rains, everything my grandfather predicted, flood conditions ready to explode. At 2:37 a.m., that emergency spillway started failing. Most people were asleep, clueless that 2 billion gallons were about to flatten their lives. Not Theodore. He grabbed his truck and a bullhorn and started pounding on doors. 43 families yanked out of bed because he refused to be ignored. The dam collapsed at 4:18, but all those folks were safe on high ground alive because one stubborn engineer wouldn't quit. My grandfather became a legend, at least for a while. But legends get rewritten by people with power, people like Celeste Ravencraftoft. I hadn't set foot in that lake house since my wife Sarah's funeral. Too many memories, too much grief. When Theodore's lawyer called to say the house was mine, it felt like a lifeline. A new start. $2.3 million mansion, 47 acres, a trust fund, and boxes of my grandfather's records, blueprints, survey, equipment, community files. So I took a leave from the bench. Most judges never do that, but I needed it. Moved out to Pinterest, a mansion perched on the lake's north shore, wrap-around porches, hand-carved wood, the kind of craftsmanship you can't even buy these days. I wandered those halls, reliving childhood summers. Theodore teaching me how to read survey maps, my grandmother baking with the same precision Theodore brought to engineering. In the basement, there was his archive, 40 years of files, maps, technical notes. That's where I found Celeste's name over and over in old correspondence. C. Ravencraftoft, City Council, always pushing back against repairs, always worried about property values. Margins filled with my grandfather's notes. Ravencraftoft owns 3 lakefronts via shell companies. Husband's construction firm relies on city contracts. Conflict of interest. Ethics investigation recommended. Of course, the investigation never happened, and after the dam failed, those same people claimed credit for saving the town. Then came that Thursday night. Headlights sweep across my living room. Black Mercedes in the driveway. Celeste steps out, same fuchsia suit, the air of someone who's never lost a negotiation. She walks right in like she owns the place, heels echoing on the old floors. "Mr. Whitfield, I'm president of the Pinarest HOA. We need to discuss your family's obligations." She didn't wait for an invite, just sat in Theodore's chair, dropped a thick folder in my lap. Bill for $127,463, dating back to the year of the disaster. Lien notice filed 3 days earlier. Pay up or lose the house. So I played dumb. You reactivate the HOA 2 weeks after Theodore dies and slap a lien on my property for 37 years of fees. Her smile didn't budge, but her eyes got cold. New ownership triggers review. Debt transfers with property. She rattled off a list: maintenance, security, infrastructure penalties. Sounded legit. But I'd prosecuted too many fraudsters not to recognize a con when I saw one. I told her I'd need to review everything with an attorney. She warned that delay would just jack up the bill. Admin fees, legal costs, penalty interest. After she left, I spread those papers out on the dining room table and did what I do best: looked for holes. Sure enough, the original HOA paperwork from '74 looked real. Theodore's signature checked out. But after that, the story changed: bylaw amendments, expanding HOA power. All supposedly unanimous votes with no records assessment hikes, breaking the original fee limits. Management transferred to a Delaware shell corporation. The Ravencraft off name everywhere. By 3 a.m., I'd found 17 document irregularities, enough to blow up any claim in a real court. But this wasn't about courts. This was about power and about people using community as a cover for stealing families' homes. Friday, there's a knock at my door. Anastasia Ravencraft, Celeste's daughter. Clipboard, nervous eyes. My mother asked me to deliver payment options and answer questions. She wasn't like Celeste, softer, almost sorry to be there. But she was still part of the scheme. I challenged her: what services, maintenance, security, dock inspections? Theodore handled all that himself. Anastasia's facade cracked. "If you have documentation contradicting our assessment, the board would review it." I told her I had 40 years of receipts proving Theodore ran everything himself. "Would you share those with the board?" she asked. I noticed her glancing at my grandfather's old equipment recognition gilt something. "You knew Theodore?" She nodded, hesitating. "He warned my family during the dam disaster. He saved us." My mother doesn't talk about it, but I remember. Turns out their family used his warning to get an insurance settlement moved to high ground, then take over the HOA. When I asked if she'd help me figure out what really happened during the dormant years, she finally agreed. Over the next 3 days, Anastasia brought me the books. And boy, did they tell a story. Payments billed to dead people, fake service contracts, admin fees increasing at the same rate every year, no matter what. 7 foreclosed homes, all bought cheap by shell companies. Guess who owned them? The Ravencraft offs. $4.2 million in stolen property. Your family's been using the HOA to steal homes for a decade, I told Anastasia. She stared at the evidence, realizing for the first time how deep her mother's scheme ran. And the final piece: Judge Mitchell, Blackthorn Celeste's husband, county judge, legal architect behind the whole thing. He calls it community enhancement, Anastasia said, voice barely above a whisper. I told her what they were doing wasn't just dirty. It was federal crime, wire fraud, mail fraud, conspiracy. If you help me, I said, you get immunity. 7 families get their homes back. Your mother and stepfather go to prison. She agreed. With Anastasia's help, I got everything: financials, emails, insurance fraud, transfers. But the real bombshell was in Theodore's files, a survey of the dam just 6 months before he died. Turns out all those infrastructure assessments were fake, no repairs, no improvements, just cash funneled into property grabs. Theodore had been documenting it all along. I called the FBI. Judge Whitfield, we've been expecting your call, said Agent Rodriguez. They'd already started investigating when Theodore sent his report months back but needed inside evidence and someone willing to wear a wire. That someone was me. Monday morning, Celeste shows up again, this time with muscle. The FBI's got my place wired for sound. Mr. Whitfield, time is short, pay now or face foreclosure. I started asking pointed questions, watched her mask slip. You're not in a position to challenge the assessment, she said. Pay or we'll proceed with emergency remedies. Houses like this often develop problems. The threat was clear pay or my house accidentally burns. After she left, I called Agent Rodriguez. She just threatened arson. We have enough for arrests, but can you stall till Friday, he asked. We'll have surveillance on the property. If they try anything, we'll catch them in the act. That evening, Anastasia brought one last envelope, a development plan. Luxury Resort Golf Course Marina, $800 million project, only possible if they controlled every North Shore property. Theodore's was the last piece. Next night, Celeste calls me, recorded by the feds. You're playing a dangerous game, Mr. Whitfield. Old houses, faulty wiring accidents happen. I told her insurance companies investigate arson. This community takes safety seriously, she replied. The line went dead. By Wednesday morning, FBI agents raided the Raven-Craftoff's homes and Judge Blackthorn's chambers. But Celeste was gone, suitcases packed, already making a run for it. Not before torching my grandfather's mansion, smoke rising over the lake flames, devouring 40 years of engineering records. But the FBI fire crews, everyone was ready. They caught her in the act gas cans in the trunk getaway car parked on the beach, news choppers circling overhead. I walked down the dock while flames burned behind me. Celeste, let's finish our conversation about those HOA fees. She spun, caught off guard. I told her Theodore never owed the HOA a dime. Every dollar was a lie, every lien a crime. And for the first time, she broke. You can't prove anything, the records are gone. Blackthorn sealed the files. Not anymore. The agents, closed in handcuffs, clicked, and the community, hundreds of people, watched their tormentor finally pay the price. Here's the final twist. 3 weeks later, I was the judge on the case. Celeste, now in orange jail scrubs, sat at the defendant's table, realizing the man she'd threatened was the one sentencing her. If I'd known you were a federal judge, she started, but I cut her off. Would you have stolen from someone else? You destroyed families, threatened arson, corrupted the courts. I sentenced her to 23 years. Blackthorn got 18. Their cronies got less, but still years behind bars. The best part, the Wisconsin legislature passed the Theodore Whitfield HOA Protection Act, new laws to keep HOAs honest. 7 families got their homes back. The Raven-Craftoff properties got redistributed. And Anastasia, the daughter who helped bring it all down, became the head of a new resident-run board. Her first act, a memorial plaque for Theodore, the man who saved them all, twice. Today I split my time between the court and the Whitfield Legal Center, helping other families fight off HOA scams. Celeste, last I heard, tried to organize a prison HOA. Old habits, I guess. Blackthorn lost his pension, got divorced, and now lives in a studio apartment. The real victory, though, isn't the prison time. It's the trust restored, the families back in their homes, the new laws that'll outlast us all. Some mornings I stand on that dock watching the sunrise, thinking about Theodore, how justice, like water, always finds its level. That's the story of how an HOA tried to steal my family's legacy and ended up learning you can't drown the truth, not in this lake, not in this lifetime. So now I gotta ask, if your HOA tried to steal your home, would you fight back in court or would you go public first? Drop your thoughts below, because stories like these, stories of justice, of standing up when it matters, they need to be heard. Hit that subscribe, share your own story. And remember, sometimes justice just needs the right person in the right place at the right time. And if you ever find yourself facing down a fuchsia suit and a gas can, well, you know who to call.